Welcome to TIFF 2025. Let's start with the most anticipated world premieres.
I'm Anna, I'm your afterlife coordinator.
That's not a job.
After decades of marriage, elderly Elizabeth Olsen and Miles Teller die within a week of each other and soon find themselves reunited in a transit station where each soul has a week to decide with whom to spend the rest of eternity. The problem is that Callum Turner has been waiting for her for 67 years, since his death in the Korean War. Which of the two will she choose to spend eternity with? A clever original contribution to the afterlife subgenre that deals, in essence, with the dilemmas we all face around desire and devotion.
Yes, it is!
Expanding on the Knives Out saga, Wake Up Dead Man draws inspiration from the dark, gothic elements of Edgar Allan Poe's The Murders in the Rue Morgue, a seemingly impossible scenario, a locked room with a dead body, while retaining many of the series' signature elements. As always, it's packed with stars. Josh O'Connor is the youngest clergyman to Josh Brolin's autocratic and abrasive priest, and Glenn Close is his right-hand woman, plus Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Katie Spinney, Jeremy Renner, and Mila Kunis. And Craig delivers perhaps his best blank yet.
And I sold murders.
The campfire in Northern California raged for 2 weeks, burning more than 150,000 acres, displacing more than 50,000 people, and causing 85 fatalities. In The Lost Bus, Paul Greengrass captures the devastating disaster's early hours with a ticking clock drama centered on Matthew McConaughey, a wayward school bus driver, and America Ferrara, an elementary school teacher, who are racing to rescue a vehicle filled with children from the encroaching fire. The film centers on a deeply personal true story while also capturing the epic nature of the fire, as well as the rescuers battling it as it ripped through the small town of Paradise. In an interview with Variety, Polish filmmaker Agnieszka Holland, whose varied career has included directing episodes of The Wire, The Killing, Cold Case, The Affair, and House of Cards, says that Kafka's work is becoming increasingly relevant today as the deshumanization of society, the contempt for certain groups of people, and alienation are once again becoming the main tools of communication. And that is why she gives us this portrait of the legendary author of The Metamorphosis.
You are standing inside a secret military prison.
Based on the book The Nazi and the Psychiatrist by Jack L. High, the story follows Dr. Douglas Kelly, a psychiatrist appointed after World War II to assess the mental health of Nazi leaders accused of war crimes. Although he must examine 22 prisoners, Kelly focuses his attention on the imposing Hermann Göring, Hitler's right-hand man. In his attempt to decipher the origin of evil, he engages in an intense psychological battle with Göring, marked by wit, manipulation, and the struggle for power.
Welcome to Nuremberg.
Hedda.
Yes?
This bold reinvention of Henrik Ibsen's play, set in the mid-20th century England, follows Hedda, a dissatisfied bride who persuades her husband George, a shy but ambitious scholar, to throw a sumptuous party that the couple cannot afford. Among the guests is Eileen Lovborg, well-known author of an influential book of sexuality, and George, main competitor for a prestigious academic position. For Hedda, each guest becomes a piece in an intricate game that she directs with cold precision as she struggles against the limits of social decorum that she cannot resist setting alight.
We all like going back in time and imagining how things could have gone differently.
Roofman tells the true story of Jeffrey Manchester, a former army ranger and father in trouble who robs more than 60 McDonald's restaurants by cutting through their roofs, earning him the nickname Rooftop Robber or simply Roofman. After being arrested, Manchester escapes from prison and takes refuge for months in a Toys R Us store.
He's a very smart individual, super intelligent.
Building a secret hideout behind the shelves, and living a double life. During his time in hiding, he falls in love with a single mother and tries to rebuild his life, but his criminal past puts his chances for a new beginning in jeopardy.
We're fodder for the mill, and we'll be fodder for the front.
In a Yorkshire village, following the conscription of most of the men for the First World War, Dr. Guthrie recruits teenagers for the choir. As the war progresses and the threat of conscription looms over the young men, singing becomes a source of comfort and a way to connect emotionally, revealing the healing power of music, but also awakening their emotions and desires at a time of great uncertainty. Directed by Sir Nicholas Robert Hytner, who among other things was artistic director of London's National Theatre and is worth googling. Come on, let's Google him. There is very little information available, but everything seems to indicate that James Corden and Jessica Gunning, believe it or not, the distant children of Ian McKellen, a famous artist, hire Michaela Cole, a forger, to finish his unfinished works so that they can be sold after his death. A great idea for the Christophers, the dark comedy directed by Steven Soderbergh that explores the family dynamics surrounding an artist and the legacy of his work. It's one thing for the environmental conference to be overrun by vain and self-serving celebrities, but it's quite another for Anya Taylor-Joy to burst in and kidnap Chris Evans, a movie star in crisis, and Vincent Cassel, the richest man in the world, in order to fulfill an ancient prophecy that requires the sacrifice of 3 lives to save humanity. Romain Gavras' satire on fame, wealth, and extreme beliefs questions the real extent of personal sacrifice when facing imminent disaster. Let us now turn to the main winners at Cannes 2025. The Palme d'Or went to It Was Just an Accident by Iranian director Jafar Panahi, his first film since his latest prison sentence. Eqbal runs over a dog while driving and, when he takes his car to a repair shop, a former political prisoner named Vahid recognizes him by the squeak of his prosthetic leg, identifying him as his torturer. Vahid kidnaps Eqbal, but Adapt assaults him when he realizes that, blindfolded, he never saw the face of his torturer. He gathers other people who have suffered similar abuses to seek revenge. Together, they decide to kidnap Eqbal and take him away in a van, kicking off a revenge thriller that explores the complexity of memory, trauma, and morality under an authoritarian regime, using black humor to balance the gravity of the situation. The Grand Jury Prize, Grand Prix, went to Sentimental Value by Norwegian director Joachim Trier. Follows sisters Nora and Agnes, who after the death of their mother are forced to reconnect with their father, Gustav, a retired film director looking to make a comeback with a new project. Gustav initially offers the lead role to Nora, but when she turns him down, he hires American actress Rachel Kemp, starting a production that will act as a catalyst to try to heal old wounds. And the jury prize was shared. On the one hand, Sirāt, by Spanish director Óliver Laxe, is both a visceral and metaphysical journey in which Luis desperately searches for his daughter Marina, who has disappeared into a traveling community of vagabonds in the harsh deserts of southern Morocco. Together with Esteban, his 12-year-old son, he decides to embark on a journey to find her that takes them across the desert and the Moroccan Atlas Mountains, following a group of young people to a new illegal party on the southern border, in the hope of finally finding Marina there. And on the other hand, the jury prize went also to Sound of Falling by German director Mascha Schilinski, which intertwines past and present, narrating the story of a tumultuous century through the lives of 4 women, separated by decades but united by trauma, who discover the truth hidden behind the eroded walls of the same farm in northern Germany, which harbors generations of secrets.
Un joli garçon, une jolie fille. Paris, 1959.
Within the official competition, but without receiving any awards, was Nouvelle Vague, the anticipated film by Richard Linklater, a playful tribute to Jean-Luc Godard's film about a souffle and the French Nouvelle Vague movement, narrating the chaotic and revolutionary creation of that masterpiece in a stylized and entertaining way, capturing the spirit of freedom and rupture that defined the movement.
Tous les dialogues seront doublés plus tard.
Nouvelle Vague.
Out of competition, and with the bonus track of Jodie Foster speaking French, A Private Life had its world premiere in Cannes, a cleverly comical psychological thriller by director Rebecca Zlotowski, in which well-known psychiatrist Lilian Steiner undertakes a private investigation into the death of one of her patients, whom she is convinced was murdered, leading to a series of twists and turns that bring up old arguments.
Friedman, nom de jeune fille, Kinda, Perle Kinda.
And perhaps even past lives.
La mort de Perle. Putain.
Yes, Guillermo del Toro arrived at the Venice Film Festival along with a monster, or perhaps more than one, a major streaming platform, a great cast and a large production. A new adaptation of Frankenstein by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley, in which a brilliant but egocentric scientist brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the downfall of both the creator and his tragic creation.
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
The Smashing Machine was literally Mark Kerr, the legendary mixed martial arts and UFC fighter who suddenly opened the door for Dwayne Johnson to the world of prestigious, festival-going dramatic films. According to director Benny Safdie, the character's strength also carries over outside the ring, as he has a unique ability to explain his emotions. The film portrays his meteoric rise and fall in the brutal world of mixed martial arts, which he faced with the courage and the unconditional support of his wife Dawn Staples.
Let's fucking go.
It is also competing this week in Venice, as is the next film.
미국에서는 해고를 도끼질한다고 한다면서요. 한국에선 뭐라 그러는지 아세요? 넌 뭐가지야?
In No Other Choice, Mansu lived a perfect life until he's dismissed from the paper factory where he worked for 25 years. After more than a year of being unable to find a job and on the verge of losing his home, he shows up unannounced at Moon Paper, but the line manager humiliates him and tells him there are no vacancies. Mansu knows he's more qualified than anyone else for the job, so if there are no vacancies for him, he will have no other choice but to create one. At this year's Venice Film Festival, Gus Van Sant received the Campari Passion for Film Award and presented his new film, Dead Man's Wire, a thriller based on real events that recreates the case of Anthony Tony Kiritsis, who in 1977 took banker Richard O. Hall at gunpoint with a shotgun connected to a dead man's wire from the trigger to Hall's head and demanded $5 million, no charges against him, and a personal apology from the Halls for having defrauded him. From last week's Telluride Film Festival comes Edward Berger's Ballad of a Small Player, which follows Lord Doyle, an English hustler who hides out in Macau casinos to evade debts and a troubled past. As his fortune crumbles, he meets the enigmatic casino employee Dao Ming, who offers him a chance at redemption, but a private detective pursues Doyle to force him to face what he is trying to run away from. As Doyle tries to climb to salvation, the confines of reality start to close in.
Is it true? You know everything about a person by touching them here.
Also from Telluride comes Hamnet by Chloé Zhao, based on Maggie O'Farrell's fictional novel that centers on the life of Agnes Hathaway, William Shakespeare's wife, and her struggle with grief after the death of her son, Hamnet, at the age of 11 due to the plague. A human and heartbreaking story that serves as the backdrop for the creation of Shakespeare's most famous work,
He will live.
Hamlet.